Hi, I'm Todd Cooprider with ESOTERIC, and welcome to our FAQ series. Going to be a little bit different this time. We've got a guest. We've got Byron from Nussbaum here, and that leads into the question we get a lot. What lifts do you use at ESOTERIC? Everybody sees the work that we're doing, all the disassembly, the wheels off, paint protection film. We wanted to find the same kind of quality of product that we're used to here at ESOTERIC. So Byron, we've been working with you for about the last 3 years. We're an early adopter, putting in the first lift. Now we have 3. If we had enough space here, we'd probably have 10 of them. Tell us a little bit about Nussbaum, the background, and what makes you guys different.
Nussbaum, German company.
Yep.
Family owned. Basically started by Otto Nussbaum, had a little machine shop out behind the house in a little village of 600 people in Germany, making spindles for lifts. Hans Nussbaum, second generation, graduated from engineering school and said, hey, let's make those lifts here. They build a little bigger factory. They become, at one point, the 3rd largest lift manufacturer in the world. But then you have 3rd generation now. Stefan Nussbaum has taken over the company, has actually brought us to the United States. We have a factory right outside of Charlotte.
Yeah.
So we build stuff in the United States. We also still import lifts from Germany, of which the Sprinter is one of them.
Right.
So it's still a family-owned business. It's a great company to work for.
Yeah, and the facility in North Carolina, you also provide all the service support, any parts and things that you need for customers like ourselves.
Absolutely, we have everything we need there. We build a couple different lifts there. This doesn't happen to be one of them yet.
Okay.
I'm sure it's on the drawing at some point in time to be manufactured here, but right now we still bring them in from Germany, and it's a great product.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about Nussbaum has a similar story to ESOTERIC. Starting the company out of the garage and building things, and ESOTERIC was founded the exact same way. Build up to where we're at now. At the time of filming here, we've got there's 22 of us that make 3 different locations. We really focus. We started our company because we wanted to operate at the highest level. There was nobody out there doing it, and I knew there was a lot of customers out there. Nussbaum has a very similar story, and what you're doing in focusing on high quality craftsmanship and engineering in the product. So with that, tell us a little bit about kind of what makes your products different compared to other stuff on the market that customers can get.
About 3 years ago, I was in a body shop in Columbia, South Carolina. They had purchased some of our lifts, our full rise lifts, and they had purchased some mid-rise lifts from another company. I believe there were 5 of them there. They went to fire these things up, and 3 of them, they had misdrilled the valve blocks, and there was hydraulic fluid spraying everywhere in the thing. And I'd always been familiar with this lift, the Sprinter, we call it, in the US, and there were never any problems with them. I mean, it was kind of one of those you could throw out there. They were bulletproof. You never heard back from them. I started looking at the lifts that they had put in this body shop and wasn't all that impressed with them. 1-cylinder, bolster between 2 platforms, kind of made out of angle iron. Then I started looking what all the other manufacturers were doing. Thought we have a market here because there's no one else.
Yeah.
There's no one else in here in the high-end area. And we realized we were going to be twice the price, but then we really started marketing it, and it turns out people were looking for a higher quality lift.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Whether it's somebody who may work on their own stuff at home, we've got a lot of customers that have high-end garages and lifts. They want to play around with their own stuff, and they don't want to put their prized possession on something cheap or cheaply made. And we tried an inexpensive lift at one time just to bring it in here. And if you can move the car around on the lift because the whole thing's swaying, it doesn't give us a whole lot of confidence, especially having our employees and stuff working around that, not to mention the valuable cars that we're working on. And we have everything from sports cars to a couple weeks ago we had a ship-sized Rolls-Royce Phantom on one of the lifts as we're working on it. A lot of need for us to get up in the air, in particular with paint protection film, because as a business owner, we want to make sure when our employees are working on vehicles, having it right here in front of them makes a difference. And then having the confidence in the safety and the engineering on something like this makes a big difference too. So having said that, let's talk a little bit about some of the details or manufacturing and safety aspects of a lift like this that, whether it's a individual out there that wants the best lift for their place, or whether it's a shop owner like us, what they can expect out of a Nussbaum lift. So let's kind of go over to the side here and take a peek. Tell us a little bit about this lift.
One of the first things you're going to see on the lift, if you start at the base, you need a good foundation. Most of the other lifts that are out there have like an angle iron welded base.
Yeah.
As you can see, these are all laser cut solid steel scissors.
Yeah.
So again, it's the whole strength of the thing. You could push this car side to side. This is not going anywhere. You look at our cylinders. Cylinders are made by us in our factory. You could lay that cylinder outside in a Columbus winter, just like it's open like there.
Yep.
It won't rust because this goes through a two-step chroming process, exactly like a cylinder on, say, an excavator or anything that sits outside all day long. They don't rust. Ours go through the same process. You even see on the top of the cylinder a grease fitting. No one else puts a galvanized top. Pull a car in here when someone else pulls a car and it's dripping off snow with salt and everything on it.
Exactly.
You're not going to get rust. One last thing that ours does that I don't think anyone else is doing is you can actually lock up the ramps on both the front and the back, so you can get a platform that's essentially either 12 or 24 inches longer than it was. So if you decide to put a 1500 Dodge on here, it will lift it just fine. Because you've got a platform that's big enough to do it.
Right. What other safety features are built into these lifts? If something fails, if somebody cuts a line, or what's going to happen with that lift?
We are the only people where the hydraulic fluid is pumped up into the block, it splits, and it goes through check valves. So anyone that knows anything about hydraulics knows there's a check valve, because if you didn't have a check valve, the fluid would just go back where you pumped it from.
Yeah.
So once it tees off, goes to two different cylinders and through two different check valves, you are in two different cylinders, your left and your right cylinder. Any one cylinder will lift that car. You use the second one is basically there to even things out, to make less pressure. But if you would cut one of the hoses, if one of the hoses would fail, which incidentally they're double braid hoses that are capable of 5,500 PSI. If you would cut one hose, the one cylinder will keep it in the air without a problem. We also use a yellow parking brake that we put there that when it's all the way in the air, you can put the yellow parking brake behind it. So it's literally got a mechanical stop at that point too. So safe. The other thing it does too is we didn't mention, you have them bolted to the floor, but for the average person, if they want, you can put a wheel kit on these, which comes with it, and then you can literally roll them around the floor, which we've done in here when we've moved around and everything and put them in different places, and then. But you guys use them in a standard location, so you want them fixed to the floor.
Yep, good deal. These things have been, huge for us, and those of you watching the videos, you've watched plenty of our videos. You've seen the footage that Wes behind the camera here has gotten over the years. We use these religiously. I mean, every single day, day in, day out. Every major job that we're working on, we have these lifts that we're using. They have been flawless for us over the years. They've worked out fantastic. So it's good to have something, when you're running a business and you have tools, you have equipment, a lot of people want to make the mistake and go the cheap route. Well, it's going to cost you more because you spent the money on the cheap one, then you end up upgrading to the big one. Go the high level route when you're starting out. To make sure you've got the right products, because last thing you're dealing with a $200,000+ car, even if it's a $70,000 car. Last thing you want to do is risk anything happening to the car, or even worse, risk something happen to one of the technicians that are working around the car. So it's nice to have all of the the quality engineering and the safety aspects of it. One last thing, we were talking a little bit earlier about some of the other innovations that Nussbaum has done in other automotive-related industries. Can you share some of that with us?
Well, one would be the company that is selling cars out of a vending machine. Everything within that vending machine that touches a car that moves it from point A to point B and then out to point C is all made in our factory in North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
So everything was made in Germany and then brought the technology over here and made all that stuff. So it's one of those things that Nussbaum does kind of that no one knows, that
Kind
no
of
one
behind the
knows.
scenes kind of thing. Kind of cool knowing that the company's got that kind of technology and that kind of manufacturing capacity to do a project of that magnitude. Yeah,
But-
and we can put a link in the video as well to their website down in the information. They can find more, contact you. You know, they want to get something for their own personal garages. They want to get something for their businesses. They'll have it right there. Well, we definitely appreciate you coming in, explaining. I know this is quite a bit longer than our normal FAQ that's usually 1 to 2 minutes long, but there's a lot of details about this kind of product, and we wanted to bring the main person in. I could have told you about it, but I couldn't have done nearly as good a job as Byron here. Byron, thank you so much for coming in on
No problem.
on a cold, snowy February morning here in Columbus, and share it with us. Those of you out there, as always, we appreciate you hanging out with us here on the Esoteric channel. We'll look forward to seeing you on our next video.